Once upon a time, in a bustling town filled with eager faces and buzzing energy, lived a young boy named Jay. Jay was an average student in every sense of the word. He excelled in math and science, enjoyed his time with friends, and helped his parents with chores. But there was one thing Jay struggled with deeply: speaking in public. It wasn't that he didn't have thoughts or ideas. In fact, his mind was bursting with things to share. Yet, whenever it was his turn to stand up and speak, his hands would tremble, his voice would crack, and his mind would go blank. This challenge followed Jay through his early school years and even led to moments of embarrassment. He remembered one incident vividly. His teacher asked him to speak about his favorite book in front of the class. Jay had prepared, practiced in front of the mirror, and even recorded himself a dozen times. But when he stepped onto the stage, words slipped through his fingers like sand. His mind froze, and he found himself unable to utter more than a few hesitant phrases. He could hear the giggles from the back row, and he returned to his seat, cheeks burning with shame. It was that day when Jay made a decision that would change his life forever. He would learn how to speak confidently, no matter what it took. Little did he know that this journey would be full of lessons, discoveries, and moments of transformation. 1. The first step: understanding the root of fear. The first person Jay spoke to about his challenge was his older cousin, Aaliyah, a skilled public speaker. Aaliyah listened intently, nodding thoughtfully. "Jay," she said, "what exactly makes you scared of speaking in front of people?" At first, Jay was confused. He wasn't sure. But as he began to reflect, he realized his fears were not only about forgetting his lines, but also about being judged, ridiculed, or disappointing others. Aaliyah explained to him that fear of public speaking was extremely common, and that most people, even adults, experienced it. She told him that there was a term for it: glossophobia, or the fear of public speaking. This new knowledge reassured Jay. He wasn't alone in this struggle. Many others faced it too. Aaliyah suggested that he break down his fear into smaller parts and tackle each one. So Jay made a list of what scared him the most: forgetting his lines, stuttering, being judged, and looking awkward. 2. Building confidence with small steps. Aaliyah advised Jay to start small rather than jumping into big speeches. His first goal was simply to speak comfortably to his friends. Jay would often meet a small group of friends after school, so he decided that each day he would share a new fact or story with them. At first, even this small task was challenging. Jay fumbled, forgot details, and lost his train of thought. But his friends were supportive, listening and nodding along, which helped him realize that he wasn't being judged harshly. Each day, he grew a little more comfortable, a little more confident. 3. Finding inspiration and mentors. In his journey, Jay knew he needed more guidance. One day, his school hosted a talk by a professional speaker named Mr. Ashwin, who had once been as shy as Jay. His journey to becoming a confident speaker resonated deeply with Jay, and after the session, Jay approached him. "Sir," he asked timidly, "how did you become so confident in speaking?" Mr. Ashwin smiled and shared his own story. He spoke about the power of preparation and practice, the importance of observing skilled speakers, and most importantly, the value of learning from mistakes. He even offered Jay a few exercises to try. Jay was overjoyed, grateful to have found a mentor who understood his struggles. The power of preparation and practice. One of the exercises Mr. Ashwin suggested was a daily practice called mirror speaking. Every morning, Jay would stand in front of his mirror and practice speaking on a simple topic, watching his expressions, hand gestures, and posture. He would pick random topics like his favorite movie, a recent dream, or even a meal he enjoyed. The mirror exercise helped him focus on his delivery, giving him instant feedback on his tone and gestures. Gradually, he became more comfortable seeing himself speak. Another tip Mr. Ashwin shared was recording his voice. Jay found this daunting at first. He wasn't used to hearing his own voice, but over time, he learned to listen critically, identifying areas where he could improve his clarity, pace, and tone. 5. Facing challenges and learning from mistakes. As Jay's confidence grew, he began participating in small school events, like class presentations and debates. But his progress wasn't without hurdles. There were still moments when he would stutter, forget points, or rush through his speech. Each time he faced these challenges, Jay would feel defeated. Yet he remembered Mr. Ashwin's words. Mistakes are stepping stones to success. One evening, he decided to create a mistake journal. In it, he wrote down every mistake he made and what he learned from it. If he forgot a line, he noted the importance of better preparation. If he stammered, he practiced slowing down his speech. This journal became a source of motivation. Each entry reminded him that he was learning, growing, and improving, one step at a time. 6. The importance of breathing and relaxation techniques. One day, during a particularly nerve-wracking presentation, Jay's voice cracked, and his hands shook visibly. After the presentation, Aaliyah taught him a simple breathing technique. Before speaking, she advised him to take 3 deep breaths, inhaling slowly and exhaling calmly. This exercise helped him relax, allowing him to focus on his message rather than his nerves. Jay added breathing exercises to his daily practice. He learned to ground himself before speaking, keeping his voice steady and his nerves in check. 7. Embracing authenticity and finding his voice. As Jay practiced more, he realized something crucial. He didn't have to imitate others to be a good speaker. Every speaker has their unique style. Jay's was calm and conversational. He realized that trying to sound like someone else only made him more nervous. Embracing his natural speaking style made him feel more relaxed and genuine. Instead of memorizing scripts, he started speaking from the heart. If he felt passionate about his topic, he would allow his enthusiasm to come through, and if he felt nervous, he wouldn't hide it but rather channel it into excitement. 8. Realizing the power of connection with the audience. Jay's journey took a significant turn when he understood that speaking wasn't just about delivering information. It was about connecting with people. Instead of seeing his audience as a group of critics, he started seeing them as friends who wanted to hear his thoughts. He practiced making eye contact, smiling, and even occasionally asking questions to involve his listeners. This shift in mindset eased his fears. He wasn't performing for an audience. He was sharing his thoughts with people who wanted to listen. 9. Small victories and big achievements. Over the next year, Jay continued to grow. From small presentations, he moved to larger audiences, eventually participating in a school speech competition. Standing on stage with hundreds of eyes on him was daunting, but he had prepared, practiced, and visualized himself succeeding. When he finished his speech, the hall echoed with applause. Jay felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment, knowing how far he had come. The boy who once struggled to speak in front of a handful of classmates was now confidently addressing a large audience. The ripple effect, helping others. With his newfound skills, Jay didn't just keep his knowledge to himself. He started helping his classmates who struggled with similar fears. He shared his techniques, helped them practice, and motivated them to embrace their unique speaking styles. Jay had transformed not only his own life but also touched the lives of others, empowering them to find their voices. Jay's journey didn't just end with that victorious speech. In many ways, it had only just begun. He was thrilled to see how far he had come, but he knew there was so much more he could achieve. Confidence, he realized, wasn't like a destination he'd arrived at, but more like a muscle that he needed to keep exercising and nurturing. Each new challenge he took on was another opportunity to get stronger. With a newfound passion, Jay started looking for more ways to challenge himself and improve. Public speaking wasn't just a skill to him anymore. It was something he genuinely enjoyed, a way for him to express his thoughts and make connections. And as he took on more speaking opportunities, he began to discover new layers to his abilities. One day, Jay's teacher announced that their school was organizing a storytelling competition, and each class had to put forward a representative. To everyone's surprise, Jay's classmates immediately nominated him. A year ago, he would have shrunk back at the very idea, but now he felt a spark of excitement. This was a chance to try something different, a chance to tell a story not just with words, but with emotion, gestures, and passion. He accepted the nomination and began preparing a story that was close to his heart. A tale about his grandfather, who had been an inspiring figure in his life. His grandfather, a wise old man with a gentle smile and a collection of fascinating stories, had always told Jay, "Every story has a lesson, but only those who listen with open hearts find it." Jay wanted to honor his grandfather by sharing one of his most memorable stories with his school. As he prepared, Jay realized that storytelling was different from the structured speeches he'd been practicing. This was about creating an experience, painting pictures in people's minds, and stirring emotions. It wasn't just about speaking clearly or using the right gestures. He needed to transport his audience into the world of his grandfather's story. He practiced tirelessly, experimenting with different voices, trying to bring out the characters' personalities. He paid attention to every detail, down to the tone of his voice when his grandfather's character spoke versus his own voice as the narrator. Jay spent hours in front of the mirror, telling the story as though his grandfather himself were sitting there, watching him. On the day of the competition, the school auditorium was packed with students, teachers, and parents. Jay took a deep breath as he walked onto the stage, carrying with him a wave of emotions. He looked out at the audience and imagined his grandfather sitting among them, smiling with his usual calm and encouraging look. When he began to speak, he poured his heart into every word. He told the story of his grandfather as a young boy, learning life lessons about kindness and courage. Jay's voice softened when he described his grandfather's struggles, and his eyes lit up when he spoke of his grandfather's triumphs. The audience was silent, captivated, and Jay could feel the energy in the room. He wasn't just telling a story, he was living it, right there on the stage. When he finished, the room erupted in applause. Jay looked around, almost in disbelief, and felt a rush of pride and gratitude. It wasn't just about the applause. It was the realization that he could bring people together through his words, share emotions, and leave a lasting impact. He felt that, in some small way, he had shared his grandfather's legacy with everyone in that room. After the event, a little girl from the audience approached him. She shyly tugged at his sleeve and said, "I loved your story. It made me think of my grandpa." Her words struck him deeply, and he realized that storytelling wasn't just about the speaker or the story itself. It was also about the connections it forged with listeners. He had touched her heart just as his grandfather had touched his. This experience changed Jay's perspective on speaking altogether. He now understood that speaking wasn't just about words or style. It was about purpose. When he spoke from a place of sincerity, his words carried weight, and people felt the authenticity behind them. This realization pushed him to explore more. He joined the school's debate team, not just to showcase his skills, but to learn how to present arguments, listen to opposing views, and communicate ideas persuasively. Debating turned out to be a whole new challenge. In debates, it wasn't enough to simply present his ideas. He had to defend them, and sometimes even improvise responses. The first few times, he found himself stumbling, his confidence wavering as he faced strong arguments. But he remembered his earlier lessons, the importance of breathing, staying calm, and viewing mistakes as learning opportunities. Slowly, he became more agile in his thinking, more confident in his responses, and as he grew, he continued to help others. Jay started a small after-school club where students could come and practice public speaking in a safe, supportive environment. He encouraged his classmates to tell stories, share their experiences, and speak on topics they felt passionate about. He taught them the breathing exercises Aaliyah had shared with him, introduced the mirror speaking technique, and even helped them create their own mistake journals. One day, a shy boy named Arjun joined the club. He was a lot like Jay had been, a bright student with a lot of ideas but too nervous to share them. Jay recognized the look of anxiety in Arjun's eyes and took him under his wing, helping him practice and encouraging him to speak in front of the group. He knew exactly how Arjun felt and was determined to help him overcome his fears. As he watched Arjun grow, Jay felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. It was as if he had come full circle, turning his once debilitating fear into a strength that not only lifted him but others as well. Helping Arjun reminded him of his own journey and how much he had transformed. Years went by, and Jay's passion for public speaking only deepened. He went on to become a speaker at youth events, sharing his journey and encouraging others to overcome their fears. He continued to tell stories, using his grandfather's wisdom as a guiding light. And every time he stood on stage, he remembered his first shaky attempts, the mirror exercises, the mistake journal, and all the little steps that had brought him to that moment. For Jay, speaking wasn't just about words. It was a way of life, a journey that transformed him from a nervous, uncertain boy into a confident, inspiring young man. Through speaking, he found his voice, his passion, and his purpose. And through that journey, he discovered that the most powerful speeches aren't those that are flawless or filled with fancy words. They're the ones that come from the heart, spoken with honesty and vulnerability. Jay had once feared the stage, but now, every time he stepped onto one, he felt at home. And he carried with him the lesson his grandfather had taught him long ago, that every story has a lesson, and those who listen with open hearts will find it. Jay's story became one of transformation, courage, and the unbreakable power of human connection. As the years continued to pass, Jay's journey took him to places he had once only dreamed of. After graduating from school, he enrolled in a university where his reputation as a speaker quickly grew. Jay's story had inspired many back in his hometown, and at university, his passion for communication found an even larger audience. He joined the university's public speaking club, a highly competitive group filled with talented individuals who all shared the same drive to express, connect, and inspire. In this new environment, Jay discovered new challenges. At university, the stakes were higher, and the topics were more complex and controversial. He found himself tackling subjects that required not only eloquence but also depth of understanding and an ability to see things from multiple perspectives. For the first time, he had to grapple with ideas that challenged his beliefs, requiring him to dig deeper and confront his own assumptions. One of the club's coaches, Professor Malik, was known for his strict and rigorous training methods. He pushed each member to explore their boundaries, sometimes to uncomfortable lengths. Speaking isn't just about impressing others, Professor Malik often said. It's about wrestling with ideas, discovering what you truly believe, and standing firmly by it. Jay found himself reflecting on these words often, realizing that his journey in speaking had now turned inward as well. It was no longer just about overcoming his fears or connecting with others. It was about using his voice as a tool to understand his own mind and values. Professor Malik introduced the concept of mindful speaking, which emphasized being fully present in the moment. Jay had always known about breathing techniques and staying calm, but mindful speaking was about something more profound. It was about listening, observing, and speaking with absolute awareness. It required Jay to not only focus on his own words but also on his audience's reactions, adapting his message on the spot to create a genuine dialogue. One day, Jay was asked to give a talk at a community event about a topic he held close to his heart: the importance of compassion and empathy in a divided world. As he spoke, he noticed a young man in the front row who looked skeptical, even annoyed. In the past, Jay might have been rattled by this, but with his training in mindful speaking, he chose to see this not as a challenge but as an opportunity. He adapted his talk, acknowledging that not everyone in the audience might agree with him, and welcomed differing perspectives. Instead of merely pushing his views, he asked questions, inviting the audience to reflect and even share their thoughts. By the end of the session, he saw that same young man nodding thoughtfully, and after the event, they exchanged a friendly conversation about their differing perspectives. Jay had learned that truly powerful speaking wasn't just about broadcasting his beliefs. It was about engaging in a respectful exchange of ideas, bridging gaps in understanding. Through this experience, Jay found his style evolving yet again. He was now exploring the art of debate and dialogue as a means to connect with others even in disagreement. The more he practiced, the more he realized that speaking wasn't just about expressing his ideas, but about creating an experience of shared understanding, even across differences. Jay's confidence continued to grow, but he never forgot his roots, the fears he had overcome and the people who had helped him along the way. As he became a leader in the public speaking club, he found himself mentoring younger students, just as he had helped Arjun back in school. He recognized their fears, their trembling hands, and the nervousness that clung to them before a big presentation. One student, Mia, reminded Jay so much of himself. She was incredibly bright but terrified of public speaking, her voice shrinking under pressure. Jay spent hours helping her, sharing his techniques, encouraging her to embrace her voice. He knew that what Mia needed wasn't just tips and tricks. She needed the same support he had received, the assurance that her voice mattered. Over time, Mia grew more confident, and watching her transformation brought Jay a sense of fulfillment he hadn't expected. He saw his own journey reflected in her growth, and it reminded him of how far he had come. Helping others discover their voices became as important to him as his own journey, and he realized that the true power of speaking lay in empowering others to speak as well. After completing his university degree, Jay decided to take his passion to a larger platform. He began working with a nonprofit organization that held speaking workshops for underprivileged youth. The organization believed in the transformative power of storytelling and wanted to give a voice to young people who often went unheard. Jay found himself surrounded by students from all walks of life, each with their own unique story, and many of them felt nervous and insecure about sharing their experiences. The workshops were intense but deeply rewarding. Jay encouraged his students to embrace their stories no matter how difficult or painful they might be. He shared his own journey, showing them that everyone has obstacles to overcome and that these challenges often make the most compelling stories. He taught them the techniques he had learned over the years, but also emphasized that speaking was less about perfection and more about authenticity. One of his students, Ravi, had grown up in a challenging environment and felt that his experiences were too ordinary to matter. Jay patiently helped Ravi see the value in his story, guiding him through the process of transforming his life experiences into a powerful narrative. When Ravi finally shared his story at a community event, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Jay realized that, through his work, he was not only helping people find their voices, but also healing old wounds, inspiring courage, and fostering a sense of belonging. As Jay continued his work, he began to see that speaking was like a ripple effect. One voice could inspire another, creating a chain reaction that spread far beyond what he could ever imagine. He no longer saw himself just as a speaker or a mentor. He saw himself as part of a larger movement, one that empowered people to use their voices for change. Jay's journey had taken him far beyond his initial fears, but he knew that the journey was never truly over. Every stage of life brought new challenges, new lessons, and new opportunities to grow. For Jay, speaking had become a way of life, a means of constantly learning, connecting, and giving back. The shy boy who had once been afraid to raise his hand had become a beacon of encouragement for countless others, proof that one voice, no matter how uncertain at first, could spark incredible change. As Jay's journey expanded, he found himself invited to speak at conferences, universities, and events around the country. Each experience introduced him to new people, new perspectives, and fresh ideas, broadening his worldview. But beyond the thrill of these opportunities, Jay found himself constantly humbled by the stories he encountered. He realized that the essence of public speaking wasn't just about him being heard. It was about amplifying voices that otherwise might not have had a platform. During one event, Jay met a young woman named Amara. She had been through intense personal challenges that she kept hidden for years. Through their conversation, Jay saw a spark in her, a desire to share her story and use it to help others, but lacking the courage to bring her truth to light. Jay knew that she was at the very place he'd once been, unsure of herself and fearful of judgment. He encouraged her to take small steps, just as he had. They spent hours practicing together, and Jay could see Amara becoming more comfortable in her own voice, trusting that her story had the power to inspire change. She eventually decided to speak about her experiences at a community event. Watching her on stage, Jay was reminded of his own first steps, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose. This wasn't just his journey anymore, it was a shared one, linking countless lives through the courage of speaking out. Jay's work with the nonprofit took him to areas he had never imagined visiting, from remote villages to bustling urban centers. Every community had its own story, and Jay discovered a surprising unity in the diversity of voices. He worked with farmers, activists, teachers, and students, all eager to express themselves but often feeling invisible. Jay poured his heart into helping them find ways to tell their stories, drawing on every lesson he'd ever learned. He recalled a memorable workshop in a small coastal village that had recently been impacted by a severe flood. The villagers were reluctant to share their stories at first. Their grief was raw, their lives in upheaval. Jay, sensing their hesitation, approached them with patience and understanding. Instead of diving into formal training, he spent time simply listening, allowing them to share in their own time, in their own way. Gradually, they began to open up, and Jay encouraged them to see the power in their experiences, not only as a record of resilience, but as a source of hope for others facing similar struggles. With each story, a collective healing began to take place. The villagers felt heard, validated, and proud. Jay was moved by the transformative effect that sharing their stories had, both on the speakers and on the listeners. He realized that sometimes speaking was not about grand speeches, but about bearing witness to the lives and truths of others. As Jay continued his work, he faced moments of exhaustion and doubt. The responsibility of empowering others weighed heavily on him at times. Yet, every time he saw someone blossom, every time a shy voice gained strength, he felt his own passion reignited. He knew that what he was doing mattered, not just to those he was helping, but to him as well. Speaking had become a lifelong mission, not just a skill. But one event, in particular, shifted Jay's perspective even further. He was invited to speak at an international conference on youth empowerment. The theme of the conference was Stories That Shape the World, and speakers from across the globe were in attendance, each bringing unique experiences and insights. As he stepped onto the stage, he felt the familiar surge of excitement and responsibility. He took a deep breath, recalling all the faces he had met along his journey: the villagers, the students, the friends who had believed in him, and his family who had always supported him. He began by sharing his own journey, recounting the moments of fear, triumph, and growth that had brought him here. But Jay didn't stop at his story. Instead, he shifted focus, sharing the stories of the people he'd encountered: the shy boy who had found his confidence, the young woman who had shared her painful journey, the villagers who had found hope in each other. With each story, he painted a picture of resilience, courage, and connection, emphasizing that every voice, no matter how small or quiet, had the potential to change the world. His words resonated deeply with the audience. They didn't just see Jay, they saw themselves, their own potential, and the countless people who had stories to tell. When he finished, the applause was thunderous, but what touched Jay most was the conversations that followed. People approached him not just to praise him, but to share their own journeys, their dreams, and the challenges they wanted to overcome. Jay had created a ripple, sparking a collective realization that everyone's story could make a difference. After the conference, Jay knew his journey was evolving. He had started as a boy who feared speaking, who couldn't find his voice, and now he had become a catalyst for others to find theirs. He was more than a speaker now. He was a bridge, connecting people through their shared humanity. With this new vision, Jay and his friends from the nonprofit decided to launch a global initiative called Voices of Hope, an online platform where people from around the world could share their stories, connect, and inspire one another. The platform would include resources for public speaking, storytelling workshops, and community events designed to amplify unheard voices. Jay believed that if people could hear each other, truly listen, then understanding and empathy could flourish even in the most divided communities. The response was overwhelming. Stories poured in from every corner of the world, tales of survival, joy, loss, and dreams. Jay spent hours reading these stories, often moved to tears by the resilience and hope contained within each one. As he read, he realized just how powerful storytelling was in breaking down barriers and creating unity. The platform grew rapidly, and soon, Jay found himself traveling to different countries, meeting contributors, and hosting workshops. Every place he visited, he saw the same hunger for expression, the same desire to be seen and understood. His work became a tapestry woven with the voices of people from all walks of life, each thread adding depth and color to the greater narrative of humanity. One evening, after a long day of workshops, Jay reflected on how far he had come. His journey had begun as a personal battle against fear, but it had transformed into a mission that reached far beyond him. He felt a profound gratitude for the journey, for every obstacle, every triumph, and every person who had shared their story with him. Jay knew that he would never stop learning, growing, or listening. Speaking wasn't just his craft, it was his purpose, a gift he would continue to share with the world. And in every new face, every story, he found a reflection of his own journey, a testament to the unbreakable power of human connection. As he looked to the future, Jay understood that his story, like every story, was part of something much larger. Improving speaking skills is a journey that involves understanding and practicing a blend of psychological, technical, and expressive elements. Here are some genuine, detailed tips that can truly transform anyone's ability to communicate effectively. 1. Develop a growth mindset. Developing strong speaking skills begins with a mindset shift. Many people shy away from public speaking because of self-doubt or fear of making mistakes. Adopting a growth mindset, seeing every mistake as a learning opportunity, can make a big difference. Remember, speaking is a skill that improves with practice, much like playing an instrument or learning a sport. Practical tips. Mistake journal. Keep a journal where you note mistakes you make while speaking and what you learned from each one. Over time, you'll begin to see progress and identify areas where you've grown. Reward. Small wins. Celebrate minor accomplishments, like successfully expressing a point or staying calm during a presentation. This builds confidence over time. 2. Master your breath control. Nerves often make people speak too quickly, stutter, or lose control of their voice. Learning to breathe properly can help you remain calm and in control of your words. Deep breathing keeps you grounded and prevents your voice from sounding shaky. Practical tips. Diaphragmatic breathing exercises. Breathe in through your nose, filling your belly with air, not just your chest. Hold for a few seconds, then exhale slowly. Practicing this for a few minutes each day will help you relax and control your voice. Pauses for impact. When you make an important point, pause for a moment. It emphasizes the point and gives you a chance to breathe and refocus. 3. Organize your thoughts. Many people struggle with speaking because they find their thoughts jumbling up. Preparing and organizing your thoughts before speaking helps you stay on track and articulate your message clearly. This is particularly helpful for people who feel they lose track of their ideas under pressure. Practical tips. Outline key points. Before any talk, list the main points you want to cover. This doesn't mean writing a script, but having a mental or physical roadmap helps. Story structure. Use a story structure, beginning, middle, end, to keep your thoughts organized. Stories have a natural flow, making your message easier to follow for listeners. 4. Practice mindful listening. Surprisingly, great speaking starts with listening. The more effectively you listen, the better you understand how to respond and connect with your audience. Active listening helps you gauge reactions and adapt accordingly, creating a more engaging experience for both you and the listener. Practical tips. Reflective listening. Practice repeating back what someone has said in your own words to ensure you understood them. This also improves your ability to summarize and rephrase ideas on the spot. Observe audience reactions. Whether in a conversation or on stage, keep an eye on the audience's facial expressions and body language. Adjust your tone, volume, or speed to match their energy. 5. Work on body language. Nonverbal communication can greatly enhance or detract from your message. Confident body language makes your words more impactful, while nervous habits like fidgeting can be distracting. Practical tips. Eye contact. Maintaining eye contact conveys confidence and helps build trust with your audience. Practice holding eye contact for a few seconds with each listener before moving to the next. Open gestures. Avoid crossing your arms or hiding your hands, as these can signal insecurity. Instead, use open, expressive gestures to emphasize points. Posture. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. This posture helps you project your voice and makes you appear more confident. 6. Embrace a conversational tone. Speaking with a conversational tone makes your message more relatable and easier to follow. Aim to sound like you're having a friendly conversation, not giving a formal lecture. Practical tips. Practice with friends. Practice speaking with friends or family members. This helps you develop a natural, comfortable tone that translates well to larger audiences. Be genuine. Share personal anecdotes or insights. This makes your speech authentic and relatable, making your audience feel more connected to you. 7. Use stories and examples. People remember stories much more than facts or bullet points. Incorporating stories, examples, or metaphors into your speaking helps make your points more memorable and impactful. Practical tips. Connect with emotion. Think about how your story might resonate emotionally with the audience. Use language that conveys feeling, not just information. Keep stories concise. Avoid dragging stories out. Focus on the key moments and details that relate directly to your message. The goal is to enhance your point, not overshadow it. 8. Record and review your practice sessions. Watching yourself speak can feel uncomfortable at first, but it's one of the best ways to improve. Reviewing recordings helps you identify areas you need to work on, from vocal inflections to body language. Practical tips. Look for nervous habits. Pay attention to filler words like or and any repetitive gestures. Notice how you can improve in future practice sessions. Evaluate your tone and clarity. Check if you're speaking too fast, mumbling, or dropping the ends of your sentences. Aim for a clear, well-paced delivery. 9. Practice improvisation. Developing quick thinking skills is valuable, especially when you need to answer unexpected questions or adjust your talk on the spot. Improvisation helps you become more flexible and reduces anxiety when something doesn't go as planned. Practical tips. Join a debate or improv group. These are great ways to practice thinking on your feet in a supportive environment. Answer random questions. Ask friends or family to pose random questions on various topics. Try answering on the spot, focusing on articulating your ideas clearly without overthinking. 10. Reflect and set goals. After every speaking opportunity. After each speaking experience, take some time to reflect on what went well and what you'd like to improve. Setting specific goals keeps you motivated and gives you a clear path forward. Practical tips. Self-reflection. Journal. Write down a few sentences about each experience. What did you enjoy? Where did you feel uncomfortable? What would you like to change next time? Set specific goals. For example, you might aim to reduce filler words, use more gestures, or focus on improving your eye contact. This keeps each practice session focused and productive. 11th. Seek constructive feedback. Feedback from others provides insights you might miss on your own. Constructive feedback helps you understand how your message is being received and where you can make adjustments. Practical tips. Ask specific questions. Instead of asking, "How was it?" try, "Did you feel my points were clear?" Or, "Were there any moments where you lost interest?" Targeted questions provide more useful feedback. Find a trusted mentor or group. Working with a coach, mentor, or joining a public speaking club, like Toastmasters, gives you consistent and expert feedback. These groups create a safe space to practice and grow. 12. Expand your vocabulary and master word. Choice building. A strong vocabulary can greatly enhance your ability to convey ideas more precisely and dynamically. However, it's not just about knowing complex words, but about knowing when and how to use the right words to create an impact. The goal is to communicate clearly and vividly without overcomplicating your language. Practical tips. Read widely. Books, articles, and speeches can expose you to different styles and vocabulary, helping you learn how experts use language effectively. Practice paraphrasing. Take a complex concept and try to explain it in simple, clear language, then in a more detailed way, to practice conveying ideas with different levels of precision. Use a vocabulary journal. Keep a journal for new words and phrases. Practice incorporating them into your daily conversations to make them a natural part of your speech. 13. Master the art of pausing. Pauses can be as powerful as words. Used correctly, a well-timed pause can add drama, give listeners time to absorb information, and emphasize important points. Many great speakers use pauses to add weight to their words and build anticipation. Practical tips. Use pauses to punctuate ideas. Try pausing briefly after delivering a key message or question. This gives your audience a moment to reflect and engage. Practice. Silence. While rehearsing, intentionally pause for a few seconds at different points. Becoming comfortable with silence will help you avoid filling it with filler words. Build suspense. Use pauses right before revealing important information. It creates suspense, drawing your audience's attention even closer. 14. Visualize your speech. Beforehand. Visualization is a powerful tool used by athletes and performers to improve their performance. By visualizing yourself speaking confidently and effectively, you can prepare your mind to approach the real situation calmly and with focus. Practical tips. Imagine success. Picture yourself delivering a strong, clear presentation. Imagine the audience's positive reactions, your calm posture, and your steady voice. Visualize details. Go beyond imagining the words. Visualize your gestures, breathing, and eye contact. Envision the venue, the audience, and how you'll interact with them. This makes the experience feel familiar when you're actually speaking. Preempt nerves. Picture potential challenges, like forgetting a point, and visualize yourself handling them smoothly, maybe by taking a deep breath or using a humorous transition. 15. Develop vocal variety. Your voice is one of your most powerful tools. Developing vocal variety, altering your tone, pitch, and pace, keeps your audience engaged and emphasizes different parts of your message. It makes your delivery more dynamic and prevents a monotone presentation, which can quickly lose listeners' interest. Practical tips. Pitch practice. Practice speaking with higher and lower pitches to emphasize enthusiasm or seriousness. Record yourself to get a feel for what works best. Use volume. Effectively. Increasing your volume slightly when emphasizing a point or using softer tones for reflective parts of your speech can add depth and emotion to your words. Vary your speed. Slow down when you're delivering a serious point and speed up slightly to build excitement. This variation will keep your audience's attention and emphasize the structure of your message. 16. Use positive visualization to build confidence. Confidence grows from within, and positive visualization can be an effective method to boost your confidence over time. The more vividly you can imagine yourself succeeding, the more natural and achievable that success will feel. Practical tips. Visualize specific goals. For instance, imagine feeling calm and confident while introducing yourself in a meeting. Picture your colleagues nodding and smiling. Picture overcoming a fear. If you fear questions from the audience, visualize yourself handling one smoothly, staying composed and thoughtful. Practice visualization daily. Take a few minutes each day to visualize upcoming speaking situations. Your confidence will grow as your mind gets used to imagining success. 17. Adapt to different audience types. A successful speaker knows how to read and adapt to different audiences. The way you would address a group of executives might differ from a presentation to school children or a casual discussion with peers. Being adaptable allows you to connect authentically with your audience. Practical tips. Research your audience. Before speaking, take time to understand who your audience is, what they care about, and what they hope to gain from your talk. Adjust your vocabulary and tone. Use language that resonates with your audience's knowledge level and interests. For example, simplify technical terms when speaking to a non-expert audience. Be ready to improvise. If you sense the audience is losing interest, consider changing your approach. Ask questions, tell a story, or invite feedback to re-engage them. 18. Build strong openings and closings. The first and last impressions of your talk are crucial. A strong opening grabs attention immediately, and a powerful closing leaves a lasting impact. These bookends create a memorable structure for your talk, giving the audience clear takeaways. Practical tips. Start with a hook. Begin with a question, a surprising fact, or a short anecdote that leads into your main topic. This helps capture interest right away. End with a call to action. Encourage your audience to reflect, take action, or continue thinking about your topic after your talk. This could be an inspiring quote, a final thought, or a question for reflection. Use a circular structure. If possible, tie your conclusion back to your opening. This gives your talk a cohesive feel and reinforces your main message. 19. Use humility and humor. Being approachable and relatable goes a long way in making a strong connection with your audience. Adding humor can lighten the mood and make your talk more enjoyable, while a touch of humility can make you appear more genuine. Practical tips. Share personal anecdotes. Funny or relatable personal stories show your human side, helping you connect with listeners. Laugh at yourself. Showing that you can laugh at yourself makes you more relatable. Share moments when things didn't go as planned and how you handled them. Use humor appropriately. Make sure the humor is relevant to your topic and audience. Avoid forced jokes, as natural humor will resonate better. 20. Practice regularly in low-stakes situations. Frequent, low-stakes practice helps desensitize you to the stress of public speaking. You don't need to wait for a formal presentation to improve your skills. Use everyday conversations as opportunities to practice your delivery, articulation, and clarity. Practical tips. Engage in discussions. Practice in group discussions, focusing on speaking clearly, sharing ideas confidently, and using strong body language. Use a mirror. Practice small portions of your talk in front of a mirror to observe your facial expressions and gestures. Record conversations. Record yourself explaining a topic or telling a story, and review it to identify areas for improvement. Practice until you feel at ease. 21st. Embrace self-care and relaxation techniques. Anxiety can affect even the most experienced speakers. Embracing relaxation techniques as part of your routine helps reduce stress before speaking engagements. A calm mind can focus better, express thoughts more clearly, and connect more genuinely. Practical tips. Practice mindfulness. Meditation. Practicing mindfulness helps you stay present and lessens anxiety. Try short daily meditation sessions to build focus. Engage in physical activity. Exercise is a natural way to reduce stress and increase endorphins. Regular exercise can help calm nerves and improve mental clarity. Have a pre-talk routine. Develop a calming ritual like deep breathing, listening to relaxing music, or visualizing a positive outcome right before speaking. 22. Learn from great speakers. Observing great speakers is a valuable way to learn techniques and styles that you can incorporate into your own approach. Watching TED Talks, listening to political speeches, or observing storytellers can offer valuable insights. Practical tips. Analyze delivery techniques. Notice how effective speakers use pauses, vocal variation, and gestures. Take note of what resonates and see how you can adapt it. Focus on transitions and structure. Pay attention to how great speakers transition smoothly between points and keep their message clear and engaging. Take notes on style. Every speaker has a unique style. Identify the elements you enjoy most and practice them to develop your personal speaking style. 23rd, refine your ability to handle. Q&A sessions. Handling questions effectively can make or break a speaker's credibility and engagement. Learning to respond calmly, diplomatically, and with poise demonstrates not only mastery of the topic, but also adaptability and openness to dialogue. Practical tips. Anticipate common questions. Before any talk, brainstorm potential questions your audience might have and think through clear, concise answers. Practice. Active listening. Focus intently on each question as it's asked, rather than planning your response prematurely. This will ensure that you fully understand and address the audience's concern. Stay calm. Under pressure. If faced with a challenging question, take a deep breath before responding. If unsure, it's perfectly fine to say, "That's a great question. I'll need to look into that further." 24. Cultivate empathy to connect with your audience. Empathy is an invaluable tool for understanding and responding to your audience's needs, interests, and concerns. When you truly empathize with your audience, your delivery naturally becomes more authentic, making your message more compelling. Practical tips. Understand audience needs. Before your talk, consider what your audience wants to gain. Empathize with their perspectives and address them in your speech. Personalize examples. Use examples that reflect your audience's experiences or challenges. This personal connection will make your points resonate more strongly. Acknowledge their emotions. If discussing difficult or sensitive topics, openly recognize the emotions involved. Showing empathy makes your audience feel seen and respected. 25. Enhance your storytelling with sensory details. Sensory storytelling, incorporating vivid imagery, sounds, feelings, and smells, draws people in by making your stories more immersive and engaging. Great storytellers use sensory details to turn ordinary descriptions into memorable, vivid scenes. Practical tips. Describe with specificity. Rather than saying a beautiful beach, describe the soft golden sand and the rhythmic sound of waves crashing. Specific sensory details paint a vivid mental picture. Appeal to all five senses. Try to include sensory elements that appeal to touch, sight, sound, taste, and smell where relevant. These can evoke emotions and enhance the listener's connection to your story. Avoid overloading. While sensory details add richness, be mindful not to overwhelm your listeners. Choose a few impactful details rather than overloading with too many descriptions. 26. Master self-compassion to overcome setbacks. Every speaker has off days, moments of nervousness, or unexpected challenges. Cultivating self-compassion allows you to handle setbacks constructively, which is crucial for maintaining your confidence and resilience over time. Practical tips. Practice. Positive self-talk. Remind yourself that mistakes are normal and part of the learning process. Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at this," try, "I'm getting better with every opportunity." Reflect with kindness. After a difficult talk, write down one or two things you did well and one thing to improve, focusing on growth rather than perfection. View challenges as learning opportunities. Embrace any struggles as chances to grow. Each experience, especially challenging ones, adds to your strength as a speaker. 27. Utilize rhetorical devices to add depth. Rhetorical devices like metaphors, analogies, and alliteration add artistry to your speaking. Used strategically, they make your words more memorable and engaging, helping your audience to understand and connect with your message on a deeper level. Practical tips. Metaphors and analogies. Use metaphors or analogies to explain complex concepts. For example, learning to speak is like building muscle at the gym. It takes regular effort. Alliteration for emphasis. Use alliteration, the repetition of consonant sounds, to create rhythm and emphasis, like persistence and patience payoff. Repetition for impact. Repeating key phrases reinforces your message. For example, Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I have a dream" speech repeats phrases to strengthen the impact. 28th. Embrace the power of silence in conflict. When faced with interruptions, challenging questions, or unexpected resistance, the ability to remain calm and use silence can be a powerful tool. Rather than reacting immediately, a moment of silence allows you to gather your thoughts and respond calmly and thoughtfully. Practical tips. Pause before responding. If confronted, pause for a few moments to allow emotions to settle and to gather a composed response. Use silence as a response. In some cases, silence alone can convey your position, allowing the other person to reconsider or clarify. Take your time. When faced with complex questions or emotions, don't rush. Pausing signals that you're taking the moment seriously and are thoughtfully considering your response. 29. Create mental triggers for positive body language. Positive body language, such as open gestures, smiling, and maintaining eye contact, significantly affects how your message is received. Creating mental triggers, like associating eye contact with confidence, helps reinforce positive body language habits. Practical tips. Anchor. Positive movements. Associate confident movements like a gentle smile or upright posture with positive affirmations like, "I am calm and in control." Practice power. Posing. Holding an expansive, confident posture, like standing tall with your shoulders back, before a talk helps you feel more empowered. Visualize success with body language. Picture yourself using positive gestures and eye contact, reinforcing these behaviors in your mind before your speech. 30. Adapt to real-time feedback and flexibility. Being flexible during your speech can be a powerful tool. especially if you sense your audience is losing interest or reacting in an unexpected way. Adapting on the spot can save a talk and re-engage listeners. Practical tips. Stay attuned to the audience. Notice signs like body language, facial expressions, or audience engagement. If you sense boredom or confusion, change your approach. Incorporate interactive elements. Ask questions, invite audience feedback, or create a quick activity to re-energize the group if they seem disengaged. Be ready to improvise. If a particular story or example isn't landing well, be prepared to pivot or skip it. Your flexibility will keep your talk fresh and responsive. 31. Create a personal speaking toolkit. Every speaker develops a unique set of techniques that work well for them. A speaking toolkit is a personalized collection of strategies that you know work best for you, from favorite warm-up techniques to fallback stories. Practical tips. Compile go-to stories. Have a few personal stories or anecdotes that you can adapt to different speaking situations. Practice calming techniques. Identify what relaxes you before speaking, whether it's deep breathing, a specific song, or visualization. Develop a reliable outline structure. Create a basic outline that works for most of your talks, like an introduction, 3 key points, and a conclusion. 32. Read your audience. Through eye contact and mirroring. Making eye contact and mirroring your audience's body language are effective ways to build rapport and trust. Eye contact shows you're attentive and engaged, while mirroring helps create a sense of connection and comfort. Practical tips. Vary eye contact. Try to make eye contact with different people throughout the room, rather than focusing on just one area. This helps everyone feel involved. Mirror audience energy. Match your energy level with your audience's. If they're relaxed, start with a calm tone. If they're energized, match their enthusiasm. Smile and show interest. Smiling while speaking, where appropriate, conveys warmth and openness, which can make the audience feel more connected and receptive. 33rd. Channel passion and purpose into your speech. When you genuinely care about your message, it shines through in your tone, body language, and energy. Letting your passion and purpose guide you not only boosts confidence but also engages your audience on an emotional level.